Welcome back to another episode of the Pastor P's podcast, man. It's your boy, Big Tay, man. We back. We got another one, man. We got another one going on. We gonna get right into it right after this. So check this out. Man, I got a question. I got a question, and it's for politicians. I mean, at this point, it's hard for me to remember when the last time the politics went the way they were supposed to. So I got a question, man. And my first question is, I wonder why. And is that a question or that's a thought? That's just a thought. My bad. But I wonder why. I wonder why Trump never talks about a specific plan or policy. You know what I mean? Y'all notice that? Y'all notice how it's never like, I got Plan 27, and somebody off of my last video in the comments said, actually Donald Trump has Agenda 47, right? Why don't he ever talk about that? It's never, ever, I ain't never heard him say nothing about no Agenda 47. But that's what they claim. They claim that Trump isn't a part of Project 2025. He actually has Agenda 47. But at his rallies, at any of the speeches I ever see, I never hear him talking about that shit. Never, ever. He always, y'all can tell me what he talk about. What that dude, what is it that he gonna say off top? He about to talk about immigration. He gonna talk about whoever his opponent is, and he just gonna dig dirty on those topics. And that's what he gonna run with. He ain't really got no other plan or nothing else that he really planning on doing, you know what I mean? That's his plan. I mean, I done played several videos of Trump. Well, it was audio back when I played them because I just transitioned to video. But clips, I done played several clips of Donald Trump where all he do is fearmonger. Just fearmonger and try to pump fear into the American people. That's all he's doing. I ain't heard him. I mean, that's his whole tactic, his strategy. Pump fear, pump fear, pump fear. I don't understand how these people still following him. But anyway, let's check this one out.
And if you think about it, only a mentally disabled person could have allowed this to happen to our country. Anybody would know this. And before I knew the numbers, I was saying it for a long time, they're coming in, they're murderers. I've said it so much. They're from jails. I say jails and prisons, there's a difference. One's a little stronger than the other, as you understand. They come from mental institutions and insane asylums. How many times have you heard? There's also a difference there. One's a little bit stronger than the others. And they're terrorists. They're terrorists. They're terrorists at the highest level. We have some of the greatest terrorists in the world in our country right now. We have no idea where they are. We have no idea anything about them. They could be in Iowa. They could be in Idaho. They could be here. Because every border is right now running around every state. Every state is a border town. Every state is a border state. They're flying them in by the hundreds of thousands. Can you believe it? Even yesterday when she was talking about how she's going to start getting very tough. Why didn't she do this 4 years ago? And she lies so much. She lies so much. How about She lies. She said Donald Trump ripped the babies out of the crib. I ripped the babies out of a crib. No. And it was actually President Obama that built the cages. Remember when they were saying Donald Trump, and they show a picture of cages, and then I was lucky enough, somebody from Border Patrol said, no, that was in 2014. That was Obama. And then that story went away very rapidly, remember? All of a sudden, the cage story went away when it wasn't me. No, she lies. Well, look, I mean, the simplest lie is that she worked at McDonald's, and she never worked at McDonald's. She worked at McDonald's, and I didn't work there. She didn't work there. But I'm going to go to a McDonald's, I think, over the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to stand over the French fries. She said, I stood over those French fries. She never did. It turned out to be a lie. And when I mention that, they go, oh, he's fallen into a trap. Because you ever see that? Whenever I criticize, they say, all the stupid people, the anchors back there. No, they say, he fell into a trap, her trap. She can't set a mental trap. There is no. But if she says something wrong, like in the debate, she said something wrong, I question it. She said another thing wrong, I made her look bad. She said another thing. They don't want me to ever question. They said, oh, he fell into a trap. He questioned the fact on Charlottesville, which was totally debunked. On all of these stories that were totally debunked, fake stories, she mentions them. But yesterday, this is one I never heard, that I ripped the baby out of the cribs. No, that might have been Obama and other people, but it wasn't us. We had the safest border in the history of our country, and even a sign that I put down, fortunately. I put that sign down, and I love that sign. I love the graph. You know the graph? The beautiful blue, gold, and red graph. It's my favorite piece of paper, perhaps, anywhere in the world. But she's so radical, she even wants to legalize fentanyl right away. Fentanyl will kill you just a little tiny, on the top of a pin, and you're dead. I have so many friends that have lost their children to fentanyl. No, we're going to do something else. We're going to get China that if they send us any fentanyl, I had this deal done with him, but Biden never got it finished. Do you think he lies awake at night thinking about fentanyl and death? No, I had the deal done, and then we had a bad election. We got more votes than anybody that ever ran for office. Think of it, more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country. And we lost by just a little bit. Just a little bit. I was told if I got 63 million votes, which is what we got in 2016, we got millions, millions, and millions more votes, more than anybody's ever gotten, more votes than any sitting president has ever gotten, and just by a little bit. No, we got to make sure there's no cheating, and we're working hard on that. We got more lawyers, we got more people watching, and I told them, if we win and when we win, we're going to prosecute people that cheat on this election.
See what I'm saying? And then you gonna, I don't get it, because both of their wives are immigrants in some way, shape, or form. Like, what is it? Melania is the first naturalized citizen to become the first lady. The first naturalized citizen to become a first lady. She became a citizen, or a naturalized citizen, in 2006. She ain't even been here 20 years. And then JD's wife, her parents are immigrants. So if it wasn't for her parents being able to immigrate over here, she wouldn't be in the position that she was put in. So it just leaves me the question, like, so why do they hate immigrants so much? Like, all they talk about is, you just heard him. I mean, why, where is Agenda 47? All they talk about is immigrants and how we need to be scared of them. So scared. because they're the worst ever. And they're the biggest gangsters. If you have the gangsters we know are babies compared to these gangsters. All this nonsense. Like, what? Like, I ain't even look. Here's some more.
Act of disloyalty than to extinguish the sovereignty of your own nation right through your border. No matter what lies she tells, Kamala Harris can never be forgiven for her erasing our border, and she must never be allowed to become president of the United States. She must never be allowed. And Wisconsin, you can't do it. Can't do it. What she's done is a total disqualifier. What she's done, and so much death has already taken place. And we have some people up here, and a friend of mine in particular who suffered greatly because of it. And this has already taken place by the hundreds, but it's going to take place by the tens of thousands, according to explosive data that was just released yesterday by ICE. And they've never released this before. They never talk about deaths and how many. They talk about certain things, but they've never released this kind of information. But it was so bad, never done, but under Kamala Harris, more than 13,099 convicted murderers. So these are people that have gone through the system. They're convicted. They're in jails for life. Some are getting the death sentence. But instead of that, they've crossed our border. They've been taken out by their countries and set free into the United States of America. So they're free to kill again. Oh, they'll kill. These are killers. These are killers that at a level that nobody's ever seen. Not even your great law enforcement has ever seen people like this. They got a dose of it, though, recently. They got a dose of it. Their jobs have become a lot tougher. And you remember when they say, no, these are migrants, and these migrants, they don't commit crimes like us. No, they make our criminals look like babies. These are stone-cold killers. They'll walk into your kitchen, they'll cut your throat. Kamala also let in 25,272 illegals convicted for rape, sex offenses, or sexual assault. 62,231 criminal aliens convicted of violent assault. Everything but death happened to the people they assaulted. In total, she let in 425,431 people convicted of, and these are convicted of the worst crimes. They're criminal aliens, along with an additional 222,000 illegals with pending criminal charges. Many of those charges also are murder, which will add on to your 13,000 murderers that were let into the country. That's over 647,572 migrant criminals who Kamala set loose to rape, pillage, thieve, plunder, and kill the people of the United States of America. And they're not going to change. They're only going to get worse. They're only going to get worse. And our law enforcement system, we have the greatest in the world, but our people are told not to do their jobs. You know, we don't want you to do anything. And they come from tough systems. They're going to love our system. Kamala is mentally impaired. If a Republican did what she did, if a Republican did what she did, that Republican would be impeached and removed from office, and rightfully so, for high crimes and misdemeanors. That would be high crimes and misdemeanors. Think of it. 13,099 murderers, convicted of murder, not like convicted of murder. Some of the worst murders you've ever seen. They're all in our country now, every one of them. And I've been saying this for 3 years, and the fake news has been saying, well, you don't know that. Well, now we know it. They've never released a list like this. Not just on these, they've never done it. Over the years, they've never done it. She let in, and that's not even mentioning the rapists, the gang members, the drug dealers, the child predators, and the traffickers in women, mostly women, Joe Biden became mentally impaired. Kamala was born that way. Okay? She was born that way.
He ain't even had to. Matter of fact, your mama mentally challenged, nigga. Okay. Look, he ain't had to say that. He just rambles off and says things for no reason. You know what I mean? Because, like, for one, like, okay, what is it about you that's going to make me think that you're going to be able to stop these tough-ass immigrants that's over here raping and killing and all this? You better hide your kids, hide your wife, all that. You know what I mean? Because of all these immigrants, right? What is it about Mr. Trump that's going to stop them? He ain't no gangster. He just said they the biggest gangsters we ever seen or we ever gonna see. And they gonna kill tens of thousands of us. They just gonna kill us. Like, get out of here, man. Stop telling us what we should be afraid of and start telling us what you plan to do. How about that? Is that's too much to ask? Y'all all out here backing him. What is he talking about? He just pumping you up to go out there and like attack a defenseless person, somebody that ain't really about that life, but he's led you to believe that they are. And it is some of them out there that is gangsters. You know what I mean? But I don't know. There's just something about me that makes me think that he just loved to put fear in the American people, man. He just loved to do that, man, for whatever reason. He don't even want to tell you what you did. And then, you know what I mean, off that last clip, matter of fact, you know what? P. Diddy, if you're listening, we need them tapes of the Donald. We need them. We need them old Trump tapes you got. We know Diddy got some of them. They both some freaky freaks. We done heard the stories. Donald, we heard the stories. And Diddy, we need them tapes. I'm just saying. All right. So, you know what I mean? We heard what Trump talking about. He ain't talking about nothing. He talking about the same old. Just, we better be scared if he don't win. Okay. Let's hear what JD got to say.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
No, I cannot stand Trump because I think he's a fraud. Well, I think he's a total fraud that is exploiting these people, who is a total fraud.
Like you said, I agree with you on Trump because I don't think that he's the person. I don't think he actually cares about folks.
So as a conservative who thinks that Trump does not have the answers and isn't qualified to be president, what are you going to do this election, if you don't mind saying?
My current plan is to vote either third party or, as I joke to my wife, I might write in my dog because that's about as good as it seems. But, you know, I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. Ultimately, I think I'll probably vote third party. I might vote for this new guy who I really like, Evan McMullin, who I actually met the other day. But I think that I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
Donald Trump's new running mate.
Welcome back. I'm Charles Coleman Jr. filling in for Ali Velshi, and we've got a lot to talk about. Earlier this week, we learned that the man joining Donald Trump on the Republican ticket as his VP pick is Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, a known election denier and MAGA prince, but not always. Vance was elected to the U.S. Senate just 2 years ago. But when he entered the public spotlight around 2016, he did so dragging Donald Trump and his values. Vance prided himself as a, quote, never Trump guy, and he once called his future running mate America's Hitler. This seems like it's the easiest, JD, this you or nah, in history. But let's talk about where Vance stands on some key issues. We'll start with reproductive rights. Back in 2022, Vance endorsed Ohio's proposed 6-week abortion ban, which had no exceptions for cases of incest or rape. And that same year, when he was running for Senate, he described himself as, quote, 100% pro-life, under a tab on his website, which was titled End Abortion. Back in 2021, in an interview with the Catholic Current, Vance likened abortion to slavery, saying those subjected to it suffer the most, but that it has a, quote, morally distorting effect on the entire society. That's rich, to say the least. Vance, he is staunchly opposed to helping Ukraine in its fight against Russia. He was part of the initiative that sent in the Senate to block a $60 billion military aid, and that just basically failed. But it's important to note, he told Steve Bannon in a podcast interview, quote, I've got to be honest with you, I don't really care what happens to Ukraine one way or the other, end quote. But if he's indifferent about Ukraine, he certainly ain't on the fence when it comes to immigration and the southern border with Mexico. Vance desperately wants to finish construction of the wall. He said he would, quote, oppose every attempt to grant amnesty to immigrants who arrived here illegally. And he favors a so-called merit-based system for immigrants that are hoping to live in the United States. He's also made an interesting pitch to anyone who will listen to him on the issue, recently tweeting that deporting 20 million immigrants would bring down housing costs. It's hard to see where this guy really isn't a flip-flopper. Okay, as recently as 2020, Vance said in a speech at Ohio University that, quote, we have a climate problem in our country. But then, fast forward to 2022, and he publicly doubted that climate change was caused by human activity. Vance also slammed the Inflation Reduction Act, which dedicated $370 billion over a decade to clean energy incentives, saying, quote, it's dumb, does nothing for the environment, and will make us all poorer. Now, let's talk about LGBTQ plus rights. Vance introduced a bill last year called the Protect Children's Innocent Act, which would have basically banned transition-related medical care, including puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and operations for minors. In 2022, Vance told an Ohio Christian organization that he would oppose the Respect for Marriage Act, which is a bill to ensure federal marriage protections for same-sex and interracial marriages. That bill was passed before Vance was sworn in. And while we're in the culture war section of our review, last month, Senator Vance helped to introduce a bill to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion programs entirely from the federal government. Now, that bill would rescind Biden's executive orders based around DEI and DEI training and outlaw mandatory employee DEI pledges. Quote, the DEI agenda is a destructive ideology that breeds hatred and racial division. These are his words. How is that for a defining quote? Not to mention, this is not at all how DEI works, like not even a little bit. And there's more where that came from. Famed poet Dr. Maya Angelou once said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. But part of the problem with J.D. Vance is, given the different things he's shown us, it's hard to be sure. On the other side of the break, I'll tell you about where J.D. Vance stands on Project 2025, the over 900-page far-right playbook that could overhaul the federal government if he and Trump are elected. Don't go anywhere.
Directly to the assassination attempt against Trump, led directly. Many people, many political observers went on the record this weekend saying that if J.D. Vance was indeed still on the short list to be considered to be Trump's running mate, that online post, that tweet from him this weekend saying that Democrats led directly to the assassination attempt against Trump, that surely would have disqualified him from staying on the short list. But he says that Democrats' criticism of Trump led directly to that assassination attempt, despite the fact that he himself called Trump America's Hitler. J.D. Vance says he has changed, that he no longer thinks all those terrible things that he has said about Trump in the past. And, you know, maybe that's true. Who among us knows what is in a man's heart? But in J.D. Vance's public positions now, there's nothing, literally nothing about Trump that Vance is not endorsing and indeed advancing. You may remember J.D. Vance coming to Trump's criminal trial in New York. He called it a sham trial. And while he was there, he attacked not only the judge in the case, but the judge's family. And he made sure to dress exactly like Trump while he did it. He has decided that he, too, is against windmills. Terrible, ugly windmills, he calls them. One of the weirdest Trump pet peeves of all. J.D. Vance has adopted that now for himself as well, just as he's adopted the red tie, white shirt thing. He calls people convicted for crimes related to the January 6th attack, quote, political prisoners. He says the 2020 election was not a real election. He says he will not commit to accepting the results of the next election in 2024. It is, of course, unusual for a president to run for a second term with a different running mate than they had in their first term. But clearly, Mike Pence was no longer available. Mike Pence not an option for Donald Trump this time around after the violent mob Trump unleashed on the Capitol looked for Mike Pence to try to hang him while Trump egged them on. Vice President Pence has since made history as saying that he explicitly cannot endorse his former running mate for a second term in office. How do you talk yourself into wanting Trump to pick you for this job when the last guy Trump picked for this job, he also nearly got killed when he told an armed violent mob that Pence was the man to blame for all they were so upset about?
So you just want me to trust them. Put them two together. You just want me to trust them. I'm supposed to put everything I'm banking on them. Man, I don't know what to believe when it comes to that guy. Come on, man. He all over the place. You know what I mean? And we talking about fracking. He's switching it up on all kinds of. You know what I mean? Yeah, they wanted to say Kamala switched her thing on fracking. In 2019, she was a certain way, and now she changed her mind or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Did you just heard what he said? Bro, this dude, I don't know what to believe with him. I know one thing. One thing is, I do know one thing. JD just wanted to be down, bro, and it worked. He did what he needed to do to be down, baby. He said what he needed to say, and somebody told him he shouldn't say that. He switched it up and said the right things and got in the position where he wanted to be at. Simple as that. Almost like it's really just like playing the game. But at the same time, it's fake as a motherfucker, if you ask me. Donald Trump, lightweight, real. You know what I mean? You know what you're getting out of him. You don't know what you're getting out of Vance. You don't know what you're getting out of Vance. He gonna tell you anything you want to hear. If he say something wrong and you expect an apology, he's just gonna say the apology. He ain't gonna mean it. You know what I mean? He's still gonna go back in the room and be like, man, you know what I'm saying? Skep, man, but he made it. He made it where he wanted to be, man. He made it there, man. And with them, man, with these videos that I keep coming, it's like every Trump speech is about nothing. And I just don't understand why all these people out here like MAGA. Somebody help me understand. I mean, tell me something. Last time somebody said it was Agenda 47. That was it. You know what I mean? Is it really, y'all really just like scared of these like Mexicans or something? Like Venezuelans or whatever? Y'all just scared of them or something? I don't know. What would make y'all want to go and say, yeah, Trump is who I'm messing with. Trump and Vance, them the ones. I don't know. I ain't seen it. And we pushing it. I mean, we here in the home stretch now. It's time, and that's what we going up against. And this was just on the Republican side. Next video definitely gonna be on the Democratic side. I'm gonna break them down too. Might not be the next one because I got some shit going on. Anyway, this is ridiculous on the Republican side with like 30-something days to go. It's 30-something days to go. They ain't talking about nothing, man. They ain't talking about nothing, man. They just gonna run off their fear-mongering, and run off of their border policy. And that's it. And that's it. That's what y'all got from them. So quit trying to point the finger and say like the other side is corrupt or whatever. Like you can't do that. Like the other side is possibly just as corrupt. But I'm telling you right now, one side ain't for us. And the other side might have us involved a little bit. Let's say it like that. It's like, I know you just heard what you just heard. I listen to the same videos everybody else listen to. You seen that, but I don't know. People gotta start, you know what I mean? And really like pay attention. Because people be out here just flip-flopping and saying whatever they need to say to get by, man. And then we fucked in the end. Man, anyway, man, if you still here, man, I'm rocking with you too, man. Thank you. Hey, look, man, like, comment, subscribe, cuss me out, man, dislike, do it all. It's all good with me, man. I want to know how you feel. You know what I mean? And I'm sure this ain't the first time you heard this. I just wanted to give you my perspective, man. So thanks for tuning in, man. It's been the Pass the Peace podcast. I'm your boy, Big Tay, man. Till next time, man. Peace.